Hello everyone, it's me, Riffraff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault, and today we have a monster review. And today we're going to talk about a very frightening creature, especially from a dwarvish perspective, and that is the Groaning Spirit, or as it's shown in the book, it's also referred to as a Banshee. I have my own thoughts on that, but bottom line is that it's a horrible, nasty, evil creature. And this comes from the original monster manual, as was used with Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, or 1E back in the day. So, the Groaning Spirit. It's very rare. You'll only encounter one at a time. And a Groaning Spirit is a evil, undead creature, and it is one that is oh boy, an evil female elf. Now they say in the book that, something that's very rare indeed. Beans, not rare. I mean, it's an elf. So what if it's female? Evil? There's plenty of evil elves. In any case, there's only one, and they're very powerful. Now, they have an armor class of 0. They are 7 hit dice creatures, so that means, 56 points maximum. And they have some very special abilities and defenses. Their actual attack only does 1 to 8 points of damage, but that's because they have some other things they can do. And on defense, boy, are they strong. They have 50% magic resistance across the board. They can only be struck with a +1 or better weapon. That's pretty tough right there. From a dwarvish perspective, we don't like elves to begin with, and a female evil elf spirit, we're going to have the clerics and magic users try to intervene. But if you're a magic user, you're at a real disadvantage. That 50% resistance to magic is also compounded by things like hold or charm person. Things like that don't work at all. And neither does electricity or cold. So they're very hard to do damage to. And even though 56 hit points isn't that much, the rest of what this creature can do more than makes up for it. Now, their most deadly attack form is a screeching wail that, if you're within 30 feet of it, it's save versus death or you're dead. Now, that doesn't matter what level you are. That's pretty effective. And it's anybody within that. So if it gets close to your adventuring party and lets loose, everybody in the party is going to be saving. Hopefully. So that's pretty nasty right there. Fortunately, they can only do it once a day, and they can only do it after dark. But everything else that protects them and makes them so difficult to hit is going to go a long way to making 56 points of hit points, assuming it has that many, because that's the maximum. It would make it seem like a lot more than that because of how difficult the creature would be to hit. Now, the Groaning Spirit can be killed with an exorcism. So, but turning is a different story. And you need to be very careful in dealing with these because of that wail. And these creatures inhabit like desolate moors and depressing places like that. They don't specifically say that it's an underground creature. I've never encountered one underground as a player. As a DM, I've always put them in like fen and swamplands, moors, things like that, as a haunting creature that's out there. It's a really nasty one to run into. There is no question about that. You really want to try and avoid these if you can. Because of the need of +1 weapons to strike this creature, or +1 or better, it's a lot harder to do a standoff engagement with it. You're really going to be in a difficult situation if you run into one of these. It's one of the few times where, unless you're well prepared for something like this, my recommendation is flee. Just get out of there. I don't like running from an elf, I'll tell you that much. But I'm not equipped, unless I'm a cleric, to really give these much of a battle. So I'd recommend staying out of their way. Now, fortunately for us dwarves, I mean, these are not exactly the kind of places that we hang out in a lot, so running into these is rather infrequent. But of course, I went out to the greater Hornhelm community and spoke to both DMs and players and asked them about this creature. And I learned some interesting things. In talking to DMs, they liked the creature, but they thought it was also very powerful. And if you mix this in with a scenario, the players who are running up against it need to be pretty tough. So they came back with a rating which is very respectable from my perspective. They said a strong 6.5 to 7. I really can't disagree with that. I've only used these a couple of times in dungeons, but part of the reason I only used them a couple times is in both cases they did some serious world of hurt to the adventuring party. Now, as players, they really don't like this critter. Because it's not part of the normal pantheon of undead and the restrictions on what do damage to it and so forth, they really didn't care for it all. Everybody who'd had experience with it said that, oh yeah, that's way up there. That's like the most powerful undead, and it's like a lich or something. It's not quite that bad, but the amalgamated score, if you will, that I got from the people who were asked about this came out as a solid 8. So it's something that most people don't really prepare for. And frankly, if somebody tells you you're running into a Banshee in 1E, if you go look at the monster manual, there's no entry for Banshee. But there is the entry for the Groaning Spirit, and in brackets next to that it says Banshee. This is not what I envision in the human world as being a Banshee, and certainly doesn't align well with many of the stories and myths that have been popularized in general culture over the years. So you can't get it confused with that. Yes, the wail can bring you death rather than foretelling death, but it can only do it once a day. The big advantage it has is it's so tough to hit. It's so tough to do damage to. You're actually better off with regular weapons in most cases than using magic. Having an exorcism is not something that's readily available to most people, and if you look into the requirements for the spell, it's not really a very practical option unless you have a way of keeping the ghost in one spot for a while. So the Groaning Spirit is something that, if you run into one of these, my first recommendation to you, unless you're very familiar and well prepared for this type of creature, flee. Get the heck out of there. Get to some place where it's going to be daylight and find a different route. That's the best recommendation I can give you. So that's the Groaning Spirit, or the Banshee, and we hope you found this informational, entertaining, all that kind of good stuff. If you did, please be so kind as to leave us a like. If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. Share with your friends. Most of all, come back and see us again real soon. We truly do thank you for your kind support. And remember, dwarves rock!